Hello and welcome to part 1 of what I've been up to lately. I decided that since I want to make videos more often, I should talk about some things I've been up to and try to do things just once a week for now, just to kind of very slowly get back into it. So this is StarMade, obviously. This ship right here is heavily inspired by a design someone else made. I forget what they called it. I can't find it right this moment, but it's supposed to be a little scout ship. Haven't quite decided what I'm going to put in the front of this yet, except that there is going to be probably like a small salvage system or beacon or something. Or actually, I probably should have put a way for a reactor conduit to reach up there to be able to put in the module system. That new stuff. Obviously it has an engine housing on the side with the little blue lighting on the front for style, engines on the back. There is no interior yet. I haven't decided what I'm going to put in this gap yet, which is why there's nothing there. This is the most interesting part of it so far, or at least to me, seems that way. Basically, I came up with a very simplistic design for a 3x3 kind of space, not 3x3, 2x3 probe core design. So it's basically an AI module, a Docker, ship core, obviously, thruster, power. I think that's everything. And basically the idea is the minimal ship that is flyable and AI controllable. And I might also do a design where it has a 4th thickness hull on either side of it. And this can store 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 meters worth of stuff. If I make it with the 4th thickness hull plating, then what was this, 5 meters? Then I can store, what is it? It's 1.5 meters each, so 5 divided by 1.5. If I do it without, then I can just store straight up 5 of them in here. And I'm going to set up a little logic system that will allow you to selectively launch a certain number of probes here. And it's also going to have a interior accessible area, so you can kind of go up to it and be like, oh, let me maintenance or whatever, or, you know, maybe just at least access the AI modules if you need to for some reason. And obviously I'm going to need to come up with some sort of docking system in here and like a little internal area, and it'll just be like living quarters and basics. And I need a reactor, obviously, and you probably just heard my alarm go off. That's telling me to do laundry. And these, I don't know, fuel pods or whatever, there's enough space to put some stuff in here, but not really. And it's more for the aesthetic of it, and it has this little thing out here. I'm also going to add a small logic system to make the lights blink instead of just being constant on. I also have a turret design that I might decide to implement on the exterior faces. You might notice that a lot of the exterior is quarter thickness plates, and basically that's to maximize interior spacing while minimizing exterior spacing. And I think I'm going to go ahead and I have this design that I call the Gnat turret, which is basically a extremely minimal turret, and I'm not going to put one here because that would block like the quote-unquote intake. I know it's not really an intake because it's a space, but shut up. And likewise, I wouldn't put one here because it would be blocking the thruster output, even though, again, that doesn't actually matter. I might actually put a turret mount right here on the bottom and top, because that actually would be a good place for it, I think, you know, to give maximum visibility, so to speak, to the turrets. Not going to put one on the front, though. Might put one on the top here and one on the bottom. Oh, wait, not on the bottom because the door is there for the probes. But yeah, this is supposed to be like a little scout ship, so obviously the ideas behind it are all about speed and sensors, so obviously whatever part of the interior that is not an interior is going to be about speed and whatnot. I'm going to go ahead and get out of it right this moment so that I can show off some other stuff that I've worked on, which is 2 of the things are right over here. This is the Gnat turret that I was just talking about, which is a weapons computer on one side and AI on the other side, Docker in the middle, turret, single cannon turret, and a core. And of course, because it's a turret, it'll get its power from whatever it's attached to. The idea is something that looks okay, but is a extremely minimal turret. This is a Viper, like from Battlestar Galactica. There's a little bit more to it than the previous Viper design I did, but it's very basic and just... the shooting isn't very quick, but I think it's okay. I'm going to go ahead and just make myself a probe core so that I can... Oops, wrong way. Go over here to show you, this is the Nova B, I'm calling it for now. I forgot that the controls were what they are. I have this escape pod prototype that I'm going to use to put in escape pods here, and basically I made the Nova B name as temporary. because I needed a break from working on a different design, which is very similar, at least in its general shape. Although taking a break from a StarMade design to do another StarMade design may not have been the smartest idea. Oops, and I just bumped into it, but I'm going to deselect it. Whoops. I still have to get used to the controls being different from how they were long ago, even though I haven't been playing very much recently until just recently. There's going to be a little shuttle bay there, a little cargo access. Well, that was going to be a cargo access, but then I realized it's actually much more appropriate to be a crew area, although I may not finish this design because, for one thing, it's so similar to this design over here, which is the actual Nova class. This is based on a series of deck plans that I have that are based on the actual deck layout of the Nova class. So the top here, the teal represents walls, with the exception of these bits right here. That's like a little area behind some of the seats. You can see the ship core is right there next to the front seats. This is going to be that there's going to be like a second layer of armor above the bridge, but everywhere else is just one thickness. This area here is actually supposed to be part of the turbolift. This is a hallway, escape pods right there. There's actually a maintenance access down the middle there. This is where transporter transceivers go. That's a whatchamacallit. Can't remember what it's called right now. It's a crew quarters. That one right there is supposed to be the first officers, I believe, and then that one's the captains, and that one right there is for another crew member. There's a hallway around here that wraps around. It goes into the bridge here. Obviously that's the bridge. This is a big old center area up here. Deck 2, these are actually offices right here, and there's a lot to it. Deck 2, you can see I kind of laid out some of the area. This is like a cargo bay. No, this is not the cargo bay on Deck 2. This is the impulse area on Deck 2 right here. And again, we'll have a Jeffrey's tube down the center, a little access way down the center. Oh yeah, the turbolift goes down right here. Yeah, it goes down right here into the purple is the second level, and then below that, the third level is again teal. I think I'm gonna make. I'm not sure what I'm going to make this little teal section here, but the schematics don't exactly say what it's supposed to be. This area is the cargo bay, and there is a cargo transporter right there with a control panel. The green is representing a control panel, and that will have a little access door here. The white is kind of where the door will be. The shuttle bay is down here under that, back here. Not quite sure how the shuttle bay will be laid out just yet, but the door for the shuttle bay will be somewhere along right here. And there'll be a little pad, obviously. And I haven't finished where the nacelles attach, or I haven't made the nacelles at all. And obviously this is a very rough outline, all of this. And like I said, it's based on those deck plans where I kind of resized them to be meter cubed. These orange markers indicate where there are escape pods. So there are the 4 on top, there's 2 on Deck 2, and then there's 14, 7 on each side on Deck 3. That's actually a science lab right there. That area is supposed to be. This area, that's supposed to be sickbay. That's sickbay, and those are representing the beds, and then this area is like the isolation chamber. This is actually the brig right here, a little white representing the door, some panels there, and a seat there for whoever's watching the prisoners. This is a briefing room. That's the lockers. These are representing lockers for now. This is... It's a security office of some kind, I don't remember. This is where the computer core is, right here. So that's pretty cool. And yeah, there's a lot to it, and you can see that some areas with how I was following the deck plans, you can see some things don't quite make sense, and part of that is me winging it, part of that is the plans themselves being not quite right or not quite perfect enough. But there is a primary deflector that goes in there, and there is actually a secondary deflector that will that will go in the front here in this little cutout, and then there will be some exposed sensor pallets here on the sides, and there's only supposed to be 4 decks on the top here on the disc, but there's like a little extra area that's deck 5. Like there's a small area that's not really an accessible deck for most of it on the 5th level, but there is a little bit of accessibility on the disc there, and I'm not quite sure how I'm going to do that just yet, but should be interesting. Also, there's supposed to be 2 forward torpedo launchers on deck 3 that go right in. No, that's, yeah, deck 3. This is either an office, or I think that's an office, and it's supposed to go in here, like in the excess space. I'm not quite sure. I'd have to go look at the plans again. But yeah, this was kind of taking a long time to work on, so that's why I took a break from it. Related to that, the escape pods I want to use on it are following this design over here, although it will have to be modified slightly because the door can't be closed while the escape pod is actually in there. Also, there's a hole in the escape pod right now. Don't worry about that. But essentially, there is a cover that can close once I redesign the escape pod slightly, and then there is a very tiny escape pod in here that has seating. Well, this version doesn't have seating because it's just for testing the actual physical system, but would have seating for 4 and have like a little accessway. On this version, the accessway was supposed to be on this side, but I realized when I actually go to make this more, I will have the access on a different side than where the door opens, because else you have to have the access be right where the door is and it doesn't look as good, and also the access has to be right where the docking rail is, which you can see there's just one docking rail that it's attached to there. The rest of it, I would have to go to the interior mode so you can see, because it's pickup rails and pickup system, and then a system to convert it to launching rails with the invisible blocks. This is from a while back. I never released this or did anything with this, but basically the idea was like a whatchamacallit, templating system for corridors. So there's some of those, because I've seen other people do stuff like that, and I thought it was cool. And then the thing that I have mentioned before, the dockable pieces that can rotate around and be used to assemble a corridor, and you can see those are all in a line from where I was last working on them. But yeah, I tend to start working on stuff and then kind of end up taking a break from it or whatever and leaving half-finished things. So yeah, that's all for this piece of what I've been up to, and I'll come back in a